Hello and welcome to another episode of All in a Day of Sports. I'm your host, Salman. I'm excited to have you for another episode as we get into the more exciting seasons of sports with the NFL coming up, college football, MLB postseason. So I'm excited. Just a reminder, we are on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. So just make sure to follow there and share with everyone you know. I don't have anything else for you, so let's just jump into this episode. Kicking it off with what you missed in this last week of sports, we'll start with the NFL. As you know, the season is coming up, so I will start with some news for you there. To begin, there's a free agent signing. Von Miller, the two-time Super Bowl champion, is expected to sign with the Dallas Cowboys this season. He will join the defensive players such as Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. I'm not. I think this is definitely a move in which Dallas is trying to add star power. You know, they lost Micah Parsons a year ago, but I don't think strategically wise Von Miller adds that much. I think they're just trying to get as many people as they can, and hopefully the Cowboys defense, from their perspective, can improve. Also, Kyler Murray won the Vikings QB battle over JJ McCarthy. I think that Kyler Murray is better than JJ McCarthy. I think this was decided a long time ago, but they didn't announce it until this week. And I think Kyler Murray is better than most people think he is. I don't think that he is like the franchise QB of all franchise QBs, but I do think he's better than people give him credit for. And I think that if any coach or coaches can change a quarterback, I think it's Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips. So I would have more hope if I were a Vikings fan than I think the media makes it to seem. In other news, Terrion Arnold is signing with the Seahawks. There he's joining a defense that was pretty good last year, obviously a Super Bowl champion defense. It's a little bit of a controversial signing as Terrion Arnold is facing 8 felony charges, and there's a chance that he doesn't even get to play for them as he might be in jail. Also, in terms of Seahawks secondary, Devon Witherspoon is signing a 4-year, $132 million extension, which makes him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. He's obviously an excellent cornerback, and, you know, as NFL prices rise, players start to get paid more. Moving on to the MLB, in some prospect news, Cardinals prospect Joshua Baez made history this past week as he homered 3 times in his first 3 at-bats in his MLB debut in the Cardinals' win against the Cubs. Just something very interesting. Obviously had some power in that game, and I think it's pretty cool. Nobody has ever done that. He became the first player to ever hit 3 home runs on your MLB debut, especially against a good team like the Cubs. Pretty impressive. In some more unfortunate news, former MLB pitcher Tommy John passed away. He had played for the Cleveland Indians, the Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Yankees, and the California Angels and the Oakland Athletics. I think Tommy John, he was a very good pitcher. He's known for obviously his namesake surgery that really extended pitchers' lifespans in the MLB. But I think he was much more than that. He was a very good pitcher despite never winning a World Series, and many people consider him to be a Hall of Fame snub as he has not been inducted yet. Moving on to the NBA, Russell Westbrook is retiring. He was the most valuable player in the NBA in 2017. He's a 9-time NBA All-Star, 2-time All-NBA first team, 5-time All-NBA second team, 2-time gold medalist, 1 time in the Olympics and 1 time in the FIBA World Cup. And then he has 2 scoring titles and 3 assist titles. Russell Westbrook obviously was a very dominant player when he was good. These past few seasons, you could really see the age showing in him. But I think it's a little bit of a sad loss as he was a really fun personality to watch. And it's kind of showing the end of an era that's coming up in terms of the NBA. Also in the NBA, the Lakers got sold for $10 billion. This is the first time the Lakers have been sold in nearly 50 years. The Lakers obviously sold for a lot of money. And what's interesting about this sale is that LeBron James, when he first went to the Lakers, I believe their value was about $4 billion, and now they're being sold for $10 billion. And so it shows that despite the fact that he's not there, he actually still has an effect on the team. And also, they're still very valuable because of players like Luka Doncic. And then in terms of other sports, Cristiano Ronaldo announced that this is likely his last season. He obviously played in this year's past World Cup, but despite not having success there, he obviously has so much success in other worlds of soccer and is considered by a lot of people to be the greatest of all time. And then in more sad news, Lionel Messi's father, Jorge Messi, passed away recently. He was not able to attend the World Cup to watch his son play, but he's obviously been with his son throughout his life, and just something very sad to see such a great player go through something so personal. So that's everything you missed in this last week of sports. Up next, what I think you should watch. So, what should you watch in this upcoming week of sports? Well, I have a little more for you than I have in the past weeks. Like I said, sports are really starting to ramp up. I'll start with the MLB. The Chicago Cubs play the White Sox at Wrigley Field, which is the home of the Cubs, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. This is probably the most important or the biggest Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox matchup in a long team, as both teams are playoff bound, and it means more for them. The White Sox are currently on top of their division and defending the rest of the teams, and the Cubs are fighting for first place in the NL Central, trying to overtake the Brewers. And then also the Blue Jays play the Yankees on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That is at they have their game. Sorry, their game on Saturday is on national TV at 1:35 p.m. Eastern on Yes. Um, I don't think that the Blue Jays are actually currently last place in their division, but to give you a sense as to how good the Blue Jays and Yankees division is, the Blue Jays are currently tied for the last spot in the AL wild card. And so, despite the fact that I don't think it affects the division that much, I think it definitely affects both teams' playoff races a lot, which is why I have it as something you should watch. And then moving on to soccer, La Liga actually started this past week, and the Premier League, which is the English league, starts on Friday. There's no real blockbuster games I have for you. We're not going to be following the Premier League season that heavily, but it was a very intense race at the end last year. And so if you are still feeling some soccer from the World Cup, that is something you can turn on. Most of their games will be on Peacock. In terms of NFL preseason, as you know, there's not really any starters that are going to play the full game. But a game I do have for you to watch is the Eagles versus Patriots, which is on 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Also, the U.S. Open, one of the Grand Slam tournaments in tennis, begins on Saturday. What's interesting about that tournament is that Carlos Alcaraz could be back, and so it'll be interesting to see how he competes and maybe faces Jannik Sinner in the end. Sinner couldn't take advantage of Alcaraz being gone in one of the two tournaments that he was gone for, but did end up winning in Wimbledon. And then also in Formula One, it returns from its summer break as the Dutch GP is at 9 a.m. Eastern on Sunday on Apple TV. So that is everything that I think you should watch in this upcoming week of sports. Up next, I have a top 5 for you. So, as you know, the NFL season is coming up in just a few weeks. And I think I've said this many times, but it is one of my favorite seasons. So, I have my top 5 games I think you should be circling on your calendars in this upcoming season. So, let's just jump into the list. In the number 5 spot for the top 5 NFL games you should be looking forward to, I have the opener of this season, which is the Patriots versus the Seahawks on September 9th, which is a Wednesday for a change. Um, I mean, I'll talk about this game a lot more as we approach the week before the season, but obviously this is a Super Bowl rematch. So, two Super Bowl teams from last year. And it'll be interesting to see how they've improved or gotten worse from the past season. And I really think that this will be a good game. I think the Patriots will be more competitive than they were in the Super Bowl last year, which is why this takes my number 5 spot. Moving on to the number 4 spot, I have the Seahawks versus Rams on Christmas Day. And obviously, just talked about the Seahawks, but they were in the Super Bowl last year, and every single game against the Rams, the Seahawks and the Rams put on a show. I'm expecting that again for this Christmas Day. It's actually really stacked Christmas schedule for the NFL this year. And I am looking forward to this game. This is actually the first of their games. So it will have division implications, but may not be the division decider. And I don't think the Rams are as much of a given as everyone is making it seem, which is why this takes my number 4 spot. At the number 3 spot, I have the Packers versus the Bears on Christmas Day again. Like I said, it's a very good Christmas schedule. If this game is anything like the last 3 Packers-Bears matchups, no matter who goes on top, it will be entertaining. They were all close games last year. Obviously, the Bears had the comeback in 2 of them and one in the playoff game. And so I think this will be a very interesting game to watch. I mean, as we approach Christmas, which is very late in the season, I believe it's week 16. We will see how good these teams are. There's a high chance that the Bears and the Packers aren't necessarily as good as they were last year, but I still think that this will be a very good game, regardless of if both teams are bad, both teams are good, one team is bad, one team is good, both teams are very in the middle. I still think it'll be a good game because it's, the most historic rivalry in the NFL, and so they will be fighting for it all. Moving on to the number 2 spot, I have the Chiefs versus the Bills on Thanksgiving. Now, the Chiefs were not a playoff team last year, as you know, but they're still the team that won 3 straight Super Bowls and won 2 of them. And I think Josh Allen is very, very desperate for a Super Bowl, as is the Bills franchise. So I think this will be a very good game, despite the fact that one of these teams didn't even make the playoffs last year. So that is why it takes my number 2 spot. Also, it's a Thanksgiving Day game, so it's a late game. I believe 8:20 p.m. Eastern. So that will be a very good game. I'm really excited for that. Mahomes will hopefully not be injured, as he wasn't there last season towards the end of the season. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. And lastly, but not least, at the number 1 spot, you already heard this game on my list, but it's at a different time. I have the Rams versus Seahawks again, but this time in week 18. I mentioned that the Rams versus Seahawks on Christmas was their first game. This is their last game. This is the last game of the regular season for both teams. I think this will have massive division implications. Like I was saying, I really don't think that the Rams are as much of a given for the Super Bowl, let alone the division title, as everyone is talking about. I think the media is really blowing things out of proportion. The Rams are good, don't get me wrong, but I think the Seahawks will give them a challenge, and I think this will be the game of the year. So circle your calendars, January 10th, Rams, Seahawks, week 18. We don't know the time yet, but I hope you guys watch that game. I know I will be watching that game. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening to another episode. Just reminder, follow us wherever you are or wherever you get your podcast. And I don't have anything else for you guys, so I'll see you next week.